A few days ago, my husband and I were talking to some friends. We spoke about an issue that I thought to myself, we definitely haven't spoken about this much on the channel, and it is an important issue to discuss. Before we discuss it, welcome to Citizen Concerned, where we remind you to beware of the comrades. I'm Katlego and would appreciate it if you subscribed to our YouTube channel, liked and shared this video with other citizens. The reason why I thought it was important is this. Every now and then I find someone who accuses me or accuses someone else of being a self-hating black. They accuse me of being a person that believes that white people are superior to black people. There are also people who believe that white people have put it in our minds that they are superior. The real truth is simpler than that. Guys, white people did not tell us that they are superior. No one has ever tried to tell me that white people are superior. Still, there's one thing that is a fact when it comes to superiority. It exists, whether you admit it or not. You can tell yourself that you're all for black excellence, but the truth is, excellence does not live in your mouth. Excellence is not found in your head where you think about excellence. Excellence is found in what you stand for. Excellence is found in your behavior, your conduct. White people are not considered superior because of what they said to black people. Superiority is a measure of a few things. For one to consider one race superior to another is not about what that race says to you or what it does to you. It is about how that race conducts itself in general. We could say it is simply about culture.
The overseas Chinese have often been called the Jews of Asia, but perhaps the Jews might be called the Chinese of the West. The overseas Chinese are not only far more numerous than the Jews, but have also played a far larger economic role in the countries of Southeast Asia than even the considerable economic role of the Jews in Europe and America. The largest conglomerate in Indonesia is controlled by an overseas Chinese businessman, one of a number of ethnically Chinese billionaires in Southeast Asia. Though less than 5% of the Indonesian population, the overseas Chinese have controlled an estimated 70% of the country's private domestic capital and run 3/4 of its 200 largest businesses.
On this earth, there are certain groups of people who will go to any country and become more successful than the majority of the people they found in that country. That is a fact. And the reason why they become more successful is not their race, but rather the conduct and culture that they have adopted.
There were knife attacks by various people from North Africa against Chinese people in some suburb of Paris. And one of the things that the attackers said, that why are you attacking the Chinese? And it wasn't because of anything the Chinese had done to them. He said, they have nice clothes and big cars. That's not fair. I mean, that's, egalitarianism as a philosophy is one thing, but the actual consequences of it mean things like resenting other people's good fortune. Right?
Despite what many people may think, white people are not all united. To this day, there are many Afrikaners that hate the English, even though you can't blame the English for the deeds of their ancestors. Yet, it is a thing. Just as how we as black people today are blaming white people for the deeds of their ancestors. But really, our success or failure is not determined by the people we choose to hate, but rather by ourselves. We as black people are the ones who are in charge of our destiny, just like every other race.
The Chinese have also been a numerically small but economically significant factor in a number of Western Hemisphere nations. In the Jamaican capital of Kingston, the Chinese at one time owned most of the grocery stores. They also owned most of the grocery stores in Peru's capital city, Lima, as well as most of the shoe stores, department stores, and hotels in that city. They have had similar success in retail trade in Panama, where most of the towns have had Chinese grocery stores, restaurants, and dry goods stores.
Superiority of the races is seen through their deeds. We as black people must start conducting ourselves in ways that make us superior if we want to be superior. We need to start adopting a culture that will make us superior. Some black people have already begun doing so, and it is beautiful to see.
I'm inviting all of you here today and everyone listening to do something about the situation that has been described and the problems that we are experiencing as a continent. A reminder that the future of Africa lies not in the hands of foreign investors, as is often believed, but in the brilliance of African minds. It's important to have investors. Their importance cannot be understated or overstated, but most importantly, the conundrum faced by Africa is that of underutilization of its raw materials beneath its soil, above its soil, and also between the ears of its people. This platform is here to transform pain into progress, to turn missed opportunities into realized potential. When we lift up our geniuses, we will lift up the continent. The African Genius Awards is going to be instrumental in driving this transformation because we know that Africa's biggest battles, poverty, unemployment, underdevelopment, cannot be solved by anyone else but us. And very often the narrative appears to be suggesting that the solution lies outside of ourselves and also outside of the continent, whereas in fact, the focus should be on Africa's youth, on Africa's geniuses.
Believe whatever you want to believe. Tell yourself the lies you want. But not all cultures are equal. Not all conducts are equal. Not all races are equal. Not all people are equal. We are equal before the law, yes. We are equal in terms of human rights, yes. But we are not equal in terms of behavior. We are not equal in terms of skills, intellect, work ethic, ability, you name it. We are all humans, but some humans are more superior than others. Hate it or love it, that is just the truth. What's also true is that anyone of any race can adopt the skills, intellect, work ethic, and abilities that will make them superior. That is why we have superior people of all races.
In Thailand, ethnic Chinese, about 10% of the population, have controlled all 4 of the largest private banks. Altogether, ethnic Chinese living outside of China produced as much wealth as China itself in the early 1990s. Of the 5 billionaires in Indonesia and Thailand in the late 20th century, all were ethnically Chinese. Although this level of prosperity did not occur overnight, there has long been a pattern throughout Southeast Asia of most of the firms and most of the investment in whole industries being in the hands of the Chinese minority, which has been less than 10% of the population of that region. Typically, their enterprises have been family-controlled and family-run, even when they have been giant multinational corporations.
The Europeans used to be barbarians who sacrificed humans to gods. Yes, these white people used to do that. Definitely not superior conduct, right? Eventually, with the adoption of Christianity, they changed that. Christianity is superior because it has helped shape Western civilizations.
And if you look at many of the important things of the West, a high view of truth, a high view of human dignity, a high view of freedom or of equality, of justice, all of these need roots, but they've been cut off. And of course, they're rooted in the scriptures. The Old and the New Testament say human dignity because we're made in the image of God. We're image bearers and so on.
The idea that we are all equal is an idea founded in the Western world because of Christianity. In the workplace, we are all equal, but some workers get paid 5,000 Rand per month, while others get paid 100,000 Rand per month. Some people, like the MPs in Parliament, don't deserve that money, but a programmer that builds apps and writes codes for robotic equipment certainly deserves it. We are equal, but our contribution to society is not equal. Hence, some people are superior to others. That is a fact of life and nature.
Why it is that Asian kids do so much better at math than their Western counterparts. Extraordinary, the differences in mathematics performance between kids in Singapore, Hong Kong, South Korea, Japan, and kids in America, Germany, England. And we're talking, the difference is not this, the difference is that. Why? The reason for that difference has to do with attitudes. It has to do with what is the attitude with which the child in those two sets of cultures approaches a math problem. When Asian kids sit down and face a high school math problem, they have a different expectation of what solving that problem entails. They have an expectation that if they apply effort to the problem is solvable. Of Western children, they seem to have the attitude that their ability to solve that math problem is a function of their ability, of their innate ability, something they either have or they don't. Right? And that attitudinal difference seems to make have a profound effect on the ability of kids to do well at math, because as it turns out, the Asian approach to mathematics is the correct one.
These white countries are the ones responsible for bringing industrial development to Africa. Upon their departure from some African countries, infrastructure has not been maintained. Why? Because they had superior knowledge and a superior work culture. We are all equal, but their work culture and industrial culture is superior. The good thing is that it can be learned by anyone of any race. Majority Indians and Chinese are similar in that fashion. Wherever they go, they will prosper better than Africans and sometimes better than Europeans.
So what they were looking at was median hourly earnings for full or part-time workers in the U.S. 16 years and over. And if you look at those in 2015, you might think that they're breaking this down by racial and ethnic groups and also by sex, and you might think, who's going to be at the top of this? White men. Right. But it actually turns out that Asian men outpace white men.
By a huge margin, too. That's the green line at the top.
Yeah, so in 2015, Asian men, their median hourly earnings were $24 compared with $21 for white males. So that's significant.
And I'm not quite surprised here because, pay has a lot to do with education, and the fact is that we have lots of highly educated Asian people. So what does this have to do with that?
Right. So of course, Asians are more likely to have a bachelor's degree or more. They're also than whites, and they're also more likely to have an advanced degree than whites. But if you actually look at it, you can look at those 25 and older with at least a bachelor's degree, and those workers, and when you look at their median hourly earnings, you still actually see that Asians are ahead. It's about $35 in 2015 for Asian men compared to $32 for white men.
Europeans are not clamoring and fighting to come to Africa to find jobs, but Africans are fighting and drowning in seas to make their way into these European countries, because those countries are superior. Am I a self-hating black for sharing these facts that we can all see, but some are too afraid to voice?
Hey! I will not accept fighting!
It's very hard to make people calm down with the real fear of dying and going into the water.
The ANC was in charge for 30 years. Many neighborhoods have stopped even trying to repair traffic lights. Many traffic lights have now changed into stop signs. Most street lights have gone dark. It is not safe to walk around simply because the majority of the street lights in South Africa are either not working or they are working during the day and then off during the night.
政府办事的效率太厉害，我们就是跟政府谈。直到谈了，在春节左右的时候就开始谈，现在已经半年了，到现在都没有一个明确的答复。刚才说是你们受欧洲国家管理这么长时间，应该是学到了很多先进的管理经验。
哪有多少时间？没有多少时间了。我们炒那个要那个国经济啊，很炒。现在是50年了， 这几50年那个，
就是50年以前你不是受咱们
50年以前什么都好啊。
是啊，那个先进的影响，那个代代往传下来，越传越文明越发达了，怎么越来越倒退越落后了？把原来留下的东西根本都没有更加的爱护保护去利用它，反而都遭到毁灭性的重创，都成成这样子的话。
Is that superior leadership and management? Is that superior conduct and culture? As Black people, we still have many children out of wedlock even in 2024. These white people have created condoms. They've created the pill and injections for you to stop getting pregnant when you're not ready. But look at most Black people, making babies when we can't afford it. Subjecting those babies to lives of poverty only to blame someone else for the poverty we and our babies find ourselves in. This is not nice to admit, but it's true. And the sooner we confront it, the sooner we can correct it. What gives me hope is the fact that we have some Black people who believe that we can change the culture.
We have a population of whom 65% on the continent is below the age of 25. That is to say, we have over 850 million young Africans with the potential to innovate, to lead, and transform our societies. Think about that for a minute. Over 850 million young Africans with the potential for innovation, yet we continue to turn outward for solutions, ignoring the most valuable resource of all, our own genius as Africans. Can you imagine what would happen if Africa turned inward?
That is the mindset we need in this country. We need true role models, true Black leaders in our communities. Not leaders who dropped out of school and spend their time standing around corners doing nothing except drinking beers. Not role models who choose to buy the good life using their bodies and beauty. We don't want people that just say there are no jobs and chill. We want people who challenge themselves and the status quo. Right here in Africa, there are African countries with superior cultures in comparison to South Africa. It is a fact. We are equal as human beings, but those Africans, because of their work ethic, honesty, hard work, respect, and love for human life, are superior. There are countries where crimes and teenage pregnancies are low, so low, and yet they are poorer than South Africa. South Africa actually still has many opportunities for breaking out of poverty. Yes, it is harder than doing it in the UK or America, but in comparison to the rest of Africa, South Africa has the opportunities. Those opportunities are being taken over by foreigners because we as South Africans are not seeing the opportunities. Those foreigners are superior in that way.
Deficit in our mathematical education in the Western world lies. It's not in our curriculum. It's not in the quality of our teachers. It's not in the size of our classrooms. It's not in the amount of money we spend on schools. It is the attitude in the head of the child as he or she sits down in 11th grade and does algebra or calculus, right? And by the way, nor is it a problem in our genes, as some people would like to say. There's a whole bizarre argument that Westerners have an inferior set of genes when it comes to mathematics than Easterners. You know, a totally ludicrous and unnecessary step in this argument. No, it's about culture. It's about a difference in attitude and about their ability to far more efficiently capitalize on the abilities of their kids.
These are things that can be changed in the home, in the schools, in our social media discourse. Culture can be changed in a country. We must have the political will and the national will to do it. But when you believe in people like Julius and Zuma, you'll find imaginary enemies because you think they're trying to make you think that they are superior when the cultural results on the ground actually show you that they are superior. Superiority is not a matter of what we are told. It is a matter of what we do. We may be equal as human beings, but we are not equal in our conduct and our culture. Some cultures and conduct simply are superior to others. I mean, even God, who created and loves all of us, will choose based on our superior conduct when we die. The ones that were the light of the world are the ones that get chosen. No one told you that white people are superior.
只有慢慢经过几代人，他是就是中国说的那句话：“今人有酒今人醉，明人没酒喝凉水。”就这样子。在这个消费观念上头，中国人和他们这个刚果人，他们受比利时这个西方影响绝对不同。他们有钱没钱啊，该消费照消费，那潇洒得很。一发工资那几天特别潇洒。比利时人我没有直接接触到，当然我觉得接触他们这些人，因为他受比利时这个影响，应该是我想也是这样子的。男的也是，你得有钱那几天狂得很着了，过上几天你二老子回来了。再没几天就开始给你借钱了。其实他们喝酒，让他们说喝酒，他喝不了多少，他就喜欢那个，喝酒吧里喝一喝，屁股扭一扭啊，那这扭屁股这真是一绝啊！这确实是一绝啊，身材好看。
Evidence has shown you that in many cases you are inferior, but you can change it. You can begin the journey by committing to be something or someone superior to your colleagues, your friends, superior to the white people you know. That is how you get that promotion and not someone else. That is how you build companies that compete on a national scale. That is how you change the status quo. If this video hurts your feelings, I understand, but please choose facts. You can cry about it later. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm Katleron. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.